There are people waiting. Yes, we are live now. Yeah, we have a minute to start. So,
okay.
Thank you for those who have already joined us before time. Brilliant. That's so encouraging. So yeah, it's 4 now. So we'll just thank you for joining the Poorna Wellbeing Samvaada. And this is really a second session, second week, where we are coming live. And the whole objective, actually, the inspiration for me, I was sharing with somebody today. It is from the Bhagavad Gita, where I mean, we all know that the whole Bhagavad Gita is a conversation, a dialogue between Krishna and Arjuna. And it happened centuries back, but it's still relevant today. And all of us tune into it and listen to it and make its own meaning for us and apply it in our life. So the inspiration is from there, and I think I'm an instrument here. And all the experts who come live with me on Poorna Wellbeing Samvada are also being those instruments for so many of us to learn, listen, assimilate, digest, and live those principles, those concepts, those thoughts in our life. So this is the ultimate aim of what we want to do at Poorna Wellbeing. I am Deepa Mahesh, the founder. Sorry to say that. I think I got carried away by the intention of the whole session. And I welcome today Arul Dev. There's so much to talk about him, but he has just. I was a part of the launch of his new book, and he is the founder CEO of People First Consultants Private Limited. And I mean, the biodata, I think all of us can read about him. But it's a very special relationship I share with him. And that's a soul connect. It can't be described in words. It's just a connect to be felt. And I think, and I see Arul nodding, so he agrees with what I'm saying. It's at the essence, at the soul. There's depth in every time I have experienced in my interactions with him, and just what I see about him. I've attended his sessions and workshops, and the first time I met him was last year at the Poorna Wellbeing Utsava, and it didn't feel like it was the first time I'm meeting. So, and it's just a few months that we've known each other. Thank you very much, Arul, for being here. Beautiful. And yeah, welcome to this session.
Yeah, thank you, Deepa. And as you rightly said, though it's a few months, it appears as if we've been known for long. And
yes.
I guess we were supposed to do something together in March, I guess,
Yes.
And it's around the time that we couldn't do anything. So I guess this conversation or dialogue or something is much awaited. So thank you for the opportunity. Yes.
Superb, superb. So today's topic, as we all know, is the exploration of this theme, which is daily practices to become your best self. And when we see this topic, I think it's the way we listen to this conversation is its application to myself. So how can I become my best self with practices, with daily practices? So to start with, Arul, for me, well-being, and this word well-being has always been ringing in my ears and my soul and my heart for a very, very long time. And for me, it is really wellness in my being, in the depths, in my core, and at in a space where I feel home. What is well-being for you?
Yeah, I think you've defined it pretty well. Well-being in your being, okay, and I think I would have answered this differently at different points of time. At this point of time, how I would answer is if I'm able to do my practice with the right poise or the right bhakti or the right faith, that itself is well-being, is my current inner experience. Because if you take the metaphor of Gita, practice itself is a connection to the divine, is a connection with your most depth part of you. So doing the practice itself is well-being is what my current understanding is.
Beautiful. Doing the practice, it's my dharma.
Yes, and there's a joy that comes from it, which itself is so. Which means like if something is not so okay, there's a fear coming in, there's a doubt coming in. When this is jostling me, at that moment when I move into practice, that itself is the well-being getting recentered inside us.
Yes, Absolutely. So beautifully said. And this takes me to a reflection because in my childhood or my youth, rather, I was a member in the Chinmaya mission and I used to do a lot of work there, seva there. And at that time, we were told to do many practices. I would start because I was exposed to those practices. And I found it very, very hard to sustain. And I would tell myself, I'm a karma yogi. So I'm doing that. That's good enough. And then I would go on with life. Uh, of course, it has helped me. What's your journey been?
Journey in practices. Okay, so I think I did not consciously decide, or to do practices, or nobody consciously told me that. I was a different student till my fourth standard. I was just like a normal. From the fifth standard, suddenly something shifted, and at that time, the practice was studying books. That's I was paka bookworm. Studying books was my practice. When I went to college, I let all practices outside the door because I wanted to enjoy life. Later on, when I came back, somewhere is where the quest began, and I used to copy people. More so, my practices was copying people. I admired my grandfather, and used to see what he's doing. I'll copy it. Then I saw a nun, and once when she was meditating in the house, the whole house was different. So I asked her what she did, and I copied it. Most of the practices I have, taken from somebody else who I actually witnessed that something
Yeah.
was precious in them. Then I
Yes.
started practicing it. Then I
Yes.
picked it from books. So like that, slowly the journey has come.
Yes, yes. I again resonate with you because till May of this year. So I've attended your daily practices. I mean your session also. After a certain time, I think new practices came in, so they died away and something else came in. But what the magic that I've seen in this May when I attended the Art of Living advanced meditation is that's something I've been able to sustain every day, and I don't need a reminder. I don't need to be told, "Hey, you have to do this." I wake up with that bhava, that devotion to the Guru, and then I finish that, and then my breakfast begins. So I quite understand, and I do it in this room. And my children tell me, especially my elder son tells me, I love this room. So even if he's playing a game, he will sit there in that corner. Like today, he asked me, "Can I sit there?" I said, "No, I have a live session." So I feel, I mean, there is some vibration that happens when we do something daily. And today, I mean, at 43, I realize what you're saying is very, very true. That sustaining something over and over again changes the energy within and changes the energy here also, outside also. So have you seen this in your life? I mean, you're sharing it,
Yeah,
even when you work with clients, because
yeah.
you do a lot of coaching work and one-to-one also.
Yeah, I think this is a clear goal. If we can come to just one sadhana, which we can run through the day, like, so for example, in integral yoga, the mother was doing a mantra chant 24/7. It came to a point where the body cells were also continuously by, automated mode chanting. So for me right now, I do some practice, maybe in natural breath or a couple of other practices, almost 15 to 16 hours in a day. Now that is a joy because you are living with the practice. You wake up and you connect. You're with your breath, or you have a sound chant or something of that sort. So you kind of stay through the whole day on that. Now that's where I think the whole thing shifts, and it has to come by itself. Over a period of time, the practice finds us. We experiment with a lot of practices, and then
Yes.
that practice finds us, which is a ladder for us to go to our own level. And then, when it starts going in us in a conscious but yet an automated mode, that's the best state to be in.
Beautiful. When you talked about the ladder, the image that was coming to me is from the divine, the connection comes, and then that ladder takes you inside.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Yes. So practice is a connection to the divine or that particular state of consciousness, you're using that practice for. So when we
Yes,
do it like that, we have a sacred connection to the practice. It's not a
yes.
mechanical repetition. So for example, many do a practice in a boredom mode. It's of very less use. But when it comes with a certain sacredness, a certain
Yes,
mindfulness, and a certain
yes.
joy, then the practice really gets enhanced. It can be a very
Mm,
simple practice. We don't need
mm,
complicated practices.
mm. So it's the bhava behind the practice.
Yeah. Yeah.
And not just the practice in itself.
It's a practice, and the bhava and everything else that
Yeah.
we bring into that. And there are two kinds of practices. One is a practice that we do only that. So, for
Mm.
example, meditation means we're doing only meditation, or
Mm.
journaling means we're doing only journaling. But the second kind of practice is I do it alongside my work. I'm
Mm.
eating, sleeping, working. The second practice is also extremely very powerful. You're doing it alongside, like watching your natural breath, or connecting to a certain wideness, or uttering the word of the Lord, for example, and you can do it while you're doing other activities. That's
Yeah.
extremely powerful. That is
Yeah.
karma yoga. To me, that is karma
Yes.
yoga.
Yes. Yes. I know of an aunt who used to do that. She used to call it, I think, Akhanda Japa or something, all the time. I remember my father used to chant Rudram, and
Mm,
all the time, behind his breath, something was happening. And actually, he was chanting Rudram.
mm, mm,
So, yeah, I understand what you're saying. It's so beautiful. I'm having literal energy vibrations right now in this
mm, mm.
conversation, although we are so far away.
Yes.
Who has been your, guru or inspiration, if I can ask you?
Yeah, I've had about a couple of people. So the first was a person called Kichu Krishnan, who actually is responsible for me getting into training itself. So for about 8 years, I was with him. Then it was a Jesuit priest called Dick McHugh, from whom I
Oh, yeah,
learned mindfulness,
yeah.
prayer, and I was assisting for long. For two
Oh,
years, and then for 2 years, I was pretty much scattered. I didn't have anybody. Now it is, I've chosen Sri Aurobindo and the Mother, and even though they're not alive in the physical bodies, I do get my guidance and I follow them. But to be really honest with you, the people I learn the most are from people I do one to one. So, for example, the second book, the launch that you spoke about, The Flame Within, much of what is there is what emerged when I was doing the practice for somebody. And they will go to a level, they'll have one of that part of being, well developed. So they will get a clue. Then I will go back and test it on me and test it on few others.
mm,
So I actually learned a lot more through the one to ones. And I don't know who gets the benefit. So sometimes I get confused who should pay money for the one to ones. But anyway, so that's where I really learn the most, and they are actually my gurus also. Yeah.
I resonate with you truly. Truly, I mean, I have no words to say. When we think we are giving, but actually we are receiving,
Mm, mm.
and they think they're receiving, but they don't know they're giving.
Yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
very, very true, very true. So this concept, of the best, being becoming my best self. So after I announced it, I was in two minds: should it be becoming, or should it be being? Should it be your, or should it be mine? So
Mm,
I'm being very truthful, because I do reflect on what
mm, mm,
I
mm,
do.
mm.
And uh, when I was reflecting on this, the idea that came to me, which is also the Poorna Wellbeing model, that when I was born, I was complete, I was whole, I was perfect, and I was radiant. During the upbringing process, it has got wheeled, and my journey is to really unveil, drop those narratives, remove the shadows, and allow it to shine.
Mm, mm.
So it is becoming, it is being, and probably it's between, whatever. So what do you have to share about it? I read about this in your book as well.
Yeah, yeah,
It was worded in a certain different way, but
yeah. I think this is actually a largely confusing clarity for people. What is their best self? So we'll take it very simple. We inside us we have some strengths or some true states, and inside us we have some limitations and our problems and all that. Many people who are extremely honest also, a lot of time they get locked into their problem self or limiting self, and they give it too much of voice. So I think in one most simple way of looking at it is, whatever are my limitations that I'm carrying, it could have come from XYZ reasons of the past. They have no reason to exist in the present moment. Okay.
yes,
But at the same time they latch on to us, and thus it needs a certain practice or intervention either by self or the other, which in a way opens things out. Okay, so this is one movement. The other moment is already something is good. We have a core, we have our strengths, we have something that is working well for us. We can endlessly polish it till our last breath of life. I think a
yes,
combination of this is what I understand as going closer and closer to who we really are, or who we can be.
yes. Absolutely. And this process of looking at our core and polishing our core is actually coming back to myself,
Yes,
returning home. It just
yes,
feels like that.
yes, yes. It is so, and you can also find your home in the other. So, for example, you look at somebody and you have a certain jealousy. Oh, I'm jealous of this person. But if you look deeper, jealousy is also a form of resonance. Oh,
Yes,
yeah, this person is able to do this. I resonate. So it
yes,
does indicates a strength that is at a potential form, but
yes,
not yet brought forward. So the home actually is everywhere, in that sense of speaking. And the home or the core speaks to us in the form of resonances.
yes,
And then
yes.
when we follow it, we find the joy in the
Yeah, yeah.
discovery process of ourselves.
Absolutely. I mean, this particular emotion, jealousy, I have been struggling with for a very long time, and honestly, many of us, but definitely I did. And when I had this conversation with you, when we explored this, that what is the desire of that jealousy? What if it's not jealousy? What does it need? When I
Correct.
listened to the need, I understood the need is a certain thing, and I just give that to
Correct.
myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it was, so I didn't strive towards it. I just had to see it clearly. And
Correct.
and thankfully you guided, and then I could see it clearly. So
Yes.
it was
Yes.
very, very beautiful. And
Yeah.
today, I mean, it's been what, 20 days now, or maybe 10 days. And even when I experience jealousy, I do ask that to myself. What's
Right.
your need?
Perfect. Perfect. Yes. Yes.
So can you throw light on, because I think, can you highlight the features of our core? What
Okay.
are its characteristics? It's a very beautiful, I can feel it, but yeah, if you could
Yeah.
describe it.
See, our core is, you can take it as what is Arul's roseness or liliness or whatsoever. Now, it would translate as something that I primarily resonate to. It could be at an intent or purpose level or at a nature level. So, for example, if you look at me, uh, long back, even in my 8th, 9th standard, I used to resonate a lot to my grandfather. Now
Mm.
I didn't have the maturity to understand at that point of time. Now I understand what I really liked in him is spirituality. Okay, so the core is a part of the individuation process. Who am I? What do I want to be? I'm not a marketplace. This is an individual who is coming into the world to offer something into it. But I have to offer something, and that offering should be fully formed. That is the core. The core could be a nature, like, or a value, or a purpose, or an area of work that I need to do in. Like, for example, I like the field of education a lot. I
Yeah,
also like corporate a lot. Huh? If I don't do work in corporate, I feel incomplete.
yeah,
Somewhere I feel, I'm using the word carefully, I feel I belong to the gutter. And what that actually means is the normal difficult situations of life. I'm there, and there I want to do the practice, and there I
yeah,
want to uplift. That's a lotus
yeah.
philosophy.
Yes, the blossoming then happens there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So these are
No,
all components of the core in that
yeah,
sense of
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Very beautiful. I think my friend, I normally have a rose. Okay, I can't see the plant. I'm just remembering that the core of the rose. I mean, it's really that the petals may wither away, but the core is always there. It's seen
Yeah.
even when the
Yeah.
petals aren't there.
Yeah. Now, if you talk about a flower, when we connect to the flower has a core vibration. And when
Mm.
we know how to connect to the flower, that vibration enters our being and purifies. This I learned from Dr. Vandana,
Dr.
who's
Vandana,
my
yeah.
guide. And we did a workshop. So we just connect to the flower, its core vibration just blesses us. So,
Mhm.
like this, when we live our life, it's a joyful journey. The sun has a core.
Yes,
Uh,
yes,
yeah, like that. Yeah.
yeah.
Every,
And the
every book has a
moon
core.
has,
Moon has a
moon
core.
has. We have discussed it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so true. And yeah, I mean, actually, and more and more, I realize that when we connect with nature and natural objects, sand or even anything natural, I think
Yes,
there is a certain resonance we feel,
correct. Yes, yes.
and that so in the outer we see the inner,
In the outer, we
and
discover the inner, we
we
see the
discover
inner,
our inner. Yes,
because it highlights a component in us, and then we recognize that that component has to be enhanced. And this is an endless journey of discovery of the core, and yeah.
yes, Absolutely, absolutely. So maybe you could just take a few minutes because I attended the book launch of the book, The Flame Within. Let's take a couple of minutes and share the inspiration behind the book and a few details. Anything that you think we would all benefit from, and everything, but something that speaks to you at this point in time.
Okay, what speaks to me about this point in time is the book was born from the one-to-ones. So see, after my first book, I knew I had to write, but went in multiple directions and nothing was clicking. Okay, and then I just let it go. Then I attended, again from Dr. Vandana, I attended a 3-day workshop on breath and really going into the inner. That opened, and I started sharing with people. And then it was all. Then there was, Leela's daughter. We all know. Leela. I met Leela's
Yeah.
daughter. She
Okay.
challenged me. I spoke about Savitri. She said, "Have you read Savitri?" I said, "I read Savitri, but I don't think I've exactly finished from end to end." So she asked, "How come then you have not finished and you are saying the book is good?" So as a challenge, I started reading. When all this was going on, I think the book started. And one day I knew that it's just 1.5 months more or something of that sort. So it was an intensive period of whatever is the different parts of being, the simple inner work that I was doing and experimenting with others. It just moved into a book form, which is a guidance to me and guidance to others also till the next book comes in. Yeah.
Yes. And you have been offering this practice to people on a timely base, periodic basis.
Yes.
So is something planned? So maybe you could share.
Yeah. To be honest, so I'm being honest. So when the book, I put the book, I was not sure. Okay, I was not sure if it's right. Okay, if it will work. So the book got delayed because of the lockdown and various other reasons. Okay, so then what I did was, without saying it is from the book, pretending it is from the first book, I actually started like that. I was having 1 hour sessions. In the third session, quietly I moved in all practices from the book, but I did not let anybody know because I did not know if the book, when it will come and all that. For me, it was, so I was pretty much through the 3-month lockdown in the beginning. Every day we were doing 1 hour.
Yes.
Now we do twice, 11 to 12. Okay. Now we do twice a week. And for me, it is a joy to see that the process is working. And many are able to take it and they are able to go far more than layers that I have touched myself. So I continue to experiment more to learn myself, and also when we come together and practice what is in the book, it is all the time better than individual practice. So I'm doing it for selfish reasons also.
Yes,
but I get that collective practice.
Yes. So which other 2 days you offer now?
Right now, it is mostly on Wednesdays and Saturdays, or Wednesday and Sunday.
And
like
what
tomorrow,
time?
there's a session, 11 to
so
12.
that our audience can attend and benefit.
But tomorrow it is there, 11 to 12. I'll be putting that in Facebook right after this. I'll be putting that note.
Yeah, sure.
So I'll tag Deepa also so that her viewers also can see.
Absolutely. Thank you. I mean, I'm sure all of us can benefit from what you're doing, the good work you're doing. So you said, you're being selfish. I'm going to ask this question because, and this is coming from a selfish parent. Honestly, this lockdown time has posed a lot of challenges to me as a mother, as a parent, and I hear more and more, and I see so many workshops on Facebook and social media on how to manage children during pandemic. And throughout my life, I think for the last 6 years, ever since I quit my job from 13, I have discovered that it's really not about managing children. It's about managing that part of me which gets triggered when my child does something. So it's been really my journey to look at me, because they just give me, they really show me a part of me which I haven't embraced or worked on. Now, because, and definitely I have a feeling that these practices will help parents like me. But it's curiosity. I'm not sure about it. So I just want to throw this question open to you, Arun.
I can give many answers to this. The practice, I can say, phenomenally helps children and parents. And I have done enough amount of experiments on that. Like we also do the children's courses online now on Thursdays, 7:30 to 8:30, 6th standard to 10th standard, where we teach them all these in an organic manner for them. But more so, whenever parents have had difficulties with children, most of the time now, if I choose to do the one-to-one, I ask both of them to come. And the same practices of the natural breath or connecting above or connecting to the depth enormously helps the parents and the child, because when the parents' frequency shifts, what gets absorbed into the children becomes better. But I must say that we need to have a huge compassion for children, because they're really going through very tough times of it, very tough times. What they're absorbing is very, very, fearful and difficult. So we as adults, if we get beyond it, it's going to enormously help them.
Absolutely, absolutely. I agree with this. I mean, we just have to be in their body and see what are they feeling. There is so much of closing in them that what I've discovered in the last 10 days, what I'm observing is with my older son, I'm observing his core. And, when I'm doing this, I'm realizing what a beautiful flower he is. So, do you see this process also working with other clients or, your experience?
Yeah. See, that will come only with a parent who's doing some inner work. Only they will be able to directly spot the core of the children. Okay. So, which means that but this does not mean that the parent should have found the core. Need not be. If the parent is doing some practice, doing some inner work, then they also start observing the child in a certain manner. For example, for a good majority of the children, I have found their core only through their limitations. Like, I'll give you an example. There was a parent who called and said, my daughter is one of the, she gave a whole list of problems. Okay. Now, the child was in the 6th standard. She came to the beyond schooling class. I looked at her eyes, and within 2 minutes, I said, hey, you are intuitive and you are highly creative. She was extremely embarrassed because, another person. And to be truly honest, I became a fan of hers. Now, that has completely shifted her thing, because everywhere people are complaining about her at home, etc. But for me, I quickly saw through behind all that drama something that was blossoming in her.
Beautiful.
That comes because I'm looking for that.
Exactly.
So when a parent starts looking for that, a little bit of an inner work, then the core will shine out. And mostly you can catch it easier through the limitations. Tuck, you can see.
This is an interesting observation. You are bang on, Arul, because I'm experiencing this, and I'm seeing that it's because of some shift that's happening inside me that I'm able to drop narratives and judgments, and I'm able to see the core. You're very beautiful. I mean, beautiful.
I'll give you another example. Recently, a parent had approached me saying the child is learning disability and all that stuff. Okay.
Yeah.
So both came on the call, the daughter and the mother.
Okay.
I did this book work, natural breath in the different parts of the body. In about 45 minutes, we figured out how her inner is working. Her inner was working purely by experience. She was more tuned to sounds rather than any other thing. That's how her inner was working. So if you're pushing books to her, she's not able to process, because it's not landing on experience nor the sound. So then we asked the parent to teach her in the modality that is working inside her. This was 2 months back, and I'm already hearing that there is much of happiness and much of progress. It's as simple as that.
Yeah. I connect with what you're saying. Beautiful. Thank you so much. I'm sure many of us listening to this either it'll reinforce what they're doing right, or it'll just give us tips to manage our life, being selfish, our life better, and definitely the child will benefit for sure. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So beautiful. What has been your highest moment, in this entire journey of yours, with practices, with one-on-ones? All of it.
It's a very difficult question to answer. Highest moment, frankly, I don't know. I think, to be really honest, the days when I'm in practice, I feel really good. See, I would have answered this differently at a different point of time. But at this point of time, I would say a higher moment is just being able to be in the present and doing what is appropriate. That just feels most high as far as that moment or day is concerned.
Yeah. So beautiful. Absolutely.
But if you look at my primary turning point in my spirituality was the day of my marriage. The day I got married, my spirituality got grounded. So that is a huge turning point in my life. Yeah.
Wow, spirituality got grounded means the up and the down is balanced. So beautiful.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You know, it's like the balance.
Yes.
Lovely. Yeah. At one point of time, at someday I'll also speak with Uma,
Yes.
your
Yes.
wife,
Yes.
and
Yes. Yes.
yeah, a
That will
very
be lovely.
beautiful soul. Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. So it's been wonderful talking to you, Arul. Before we close, um, what's your wish for humanity? You know, from a well-being perspective, from a self-care perspective, do you have any messages or anything to leave behind for us to chew, ponder on?
Yeah. Yeah. So compared to the last 25 years, where I began and where we are right now, the interest in inner work, self-awareness has really skyrocketed. And in the last 4 months, it has skyrocketed. The next phase needs to be we develop capacities to work on the collectives, which many of the inner work people don't have because they don't have the corresponding power. Power is needed to move into collective work. And I don't mean power from a political power perspective.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean power from, let's say, the grace of the divine, or the strength per se. I think the next phase is that we need to develop capacities to transform the collective, because right now there's a lot of difficulties in the collective. There's a lot of mechanization that is happening in the fields
yes,
of medicines, and so while a portion of it may be good, but it also poses a lot of challenges. So our capacity to transform the collective is the need of the hour, and that's a completely different ball game than just
mm.
doing individual work. I'm taking my focus points on that, but I think if many of us who are this skilled on one-to-one, like even though Deepa, you said you're interviewing an expert, Deepa is an expert as well. We just change our roles from time to time. Uh, but the individuals moving into collective, I think a lot more capacity building needs to be done, and then we can see a new world. Yeah.
Mm.
Because the
Yeah,
children are getting far more evolved.
yeah,
Children can evolve not only by individual work when the collective settings and contexts are different. So it is time that
yes,
we are able to play that goal at multiple
yes,
levels.
yes, I resonate. So it's I to we to they and us,
Yes, yes, yes,
literally increasing the frame of reference and
yes.
beautiful. Yes, yes, I resonate with that. That's a beautiful thought to really take in. And this is a great opportunity in this time. About 4 months back, I started working with a group, Columbia Pacific Communities, and they're all senior citizens, 60 to 80 years. They've all been scared about COVID and what's going to happen. And just by singing, dancing, uh, just being there, and when they see me, live, or when I come on Zoom, the joy itself, I feel it. So that's coming to me when I
Sure.
when I think of what you're
Perfect.
saying.
Perfect.
Beautiful, yeah,
Yes.
beautiful. I to we to collective. Thank you so much, Arul.
Thank you so much.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it is. It just I just feel fulfilled
Thank you
and
so much. Thank you for the
so fulfilled.
opportunity. Thank you for
Yeah,
all
thank you.
listening. Yes.
And thank you to all the viewers who've been there with us throughout, and many more of you who will be watching this recording later. Wish all of us a heightened sense of self care, well being, and peace and joy. Thank you. Thank you, Arul, and thanks all of
Thank
you.
you. Thank you, Deepa. Bye bye. See you.
Bye.